Hi bookworms! Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing a very exciting book. Can you guess what it is? You're going to love it, I can promise you. It's this book. Anne of Green Gables by Anne of Montgomery. Anne of Montgomery, the author, is a very famous Canadian one. I can relate myself to the main character, or the main protagonist, Anne and Shirley, because we both have a lot in common. We are both very chatty, if you know what I mean. And I like Anne a lot because she can take a normal thing and describe it in such a way you'll be interested in the object and you'll be looking at it from a different perspective. If you gave Anne, let's say, a white blossom tree, she would describe it as a snow queen. There's a sort of a long Jerusalem tree, I think. I don't know if I'm saying it right. And she calls it Bonnie. She gives different things names. And that's why I can relate myself to this character a lot. And she also has a couple of things that I'm going to say her flaws. Like, she has a very big temper when it comes to getting angry. And she talks a lot, as I mentioned earlier. So, coming on to the author, Anne Montgomery, or her full name, Lucy Maud Montgomery. She was a Canadian fiction writer, and she wrote many things, such as, for example, she wrote 500 poems, 20 novels, 530 short stories, and 30 essays. That's a lot of writing for one person. This book, Anne of Green Gables, is actually a true story though. Everyone thinks it's fiction, but it's a true story about this girl, Anne Shirley. And she was supposed to be adopted. Anne Montgomery died in 24 April, Toronto in Canada. Oh, this London weather. The sun's gone. I should do a review on this. Anyway, coming back to the book. So, what happened to Anne when she started going to school? Well, there's quite a lot of things, and that's another reason I can relate. For a start, her hair is red, and she wants it to be brown, or another colour. So there's this boy at the school called Gilbert Blythe, who I personally hate as well. Until we come to the end of the story, really. And what he does, that's another funny scene, is he goes across the aisle, takes the back of Anne's head and goes like, carrots, carrots. And in the book, Anne takes her slate and cracks over his head. Slate, not head, the slate cracked, not the head. And she has to stand the form all day. And Mr. Phillips, the teacher, writes her name without an E. Anne with an E. He doesn't do it, and that's why she gets even more angry. And from that day on, she doesn't go to school anymore. And there's this other girl there called Diana Barry. Now, Diana Barry is a very nice little girl, just black hair. Now, after a few arguments and angriness, Anne finally decides to go back to school. And that's when she makes friends with Diana. Now, after a few days of friendship, just a few days after Gilbert had called her carrots, Diana said, "Don't worry, Anne, Gilbert bullies all the girls in the class. He always called me a crow because my hair was so black." Now here's what Anne says, another quote. "There's a great deal of difference between being called a crow and being called carrots," said Anne with dignity. And that's another part that made me laugh. So, having said all the funny scenes, let's come to something a bit more serious. Now, as you know, sometimes in life, things don't go as you plan. Sometimes you need raspberry cordial, you end up with red wine. Well, that's what happens in this chapter. I'm going to read you a little bit about what happens when Anne invites Diana to tea. Diana had stood up very unsteadily. Then she sat down again, putting her hands to her head. I'm awful sick," she said a little thickly. I must go right home." "Oh, you mustn't dream of going home without your tea," cried Anne in distress. "I'll get it right off. I'll go and put the tea down this very minute." "I must go home," repeated Diana, stupidly but determinedly. "Let me get you a lunch anyhow," implored Anne. "Let me give you a bit of fruit cake and some of the cherry preserves. Lie down on the sofa for a little while and you'll feel better. Where do you feel bad? I must go home, said Diana, and that was all she would repeat and say. In vain Anne pleaded. I never heard of company going home without tea, she mourned. Oh, Diana, do you suppose that it's possible you're really taking the smallpox? If you are, I'll go and nurse. You can depend on that. I'll never forsake you, but I do wish you'll stay after tea. Where do you feel bad? I'm awful dizzy, said Diana. And indeed, she walked very dizzily. So, as you can all relate to now, this book has absolutely everything and anything. Funny scenes, melodramatic scenes. You've even got scenes where things just go mixed up. You're supposed to be laughing, but then the scene is so tragic you can't laugh. There's sad scenes as well. I'm not going to tell you anything, that's just spoiling the book. But if you want to know what happened next, buy the book. It's very, very interesting. Also, Anne Shirley, the main protagonist in this book, also had something most of us call imaginary friends. Now, if you're an only child, you may have imaginary friends. And if you do, you are able to relate with the author, Lucy Maud Montgomery. She was also an only child and had no brothers or sisters. She had many relatives but none were children. And she lived in her only place, really. Very lonely where she lived. So she made up imaginary friends. One of them was called Katie Maurice, another was called Cordelia. I don't know what the last name of Cordelia was, it doesn't mention. So she put her imaginary friends into here. So Anne Shirley has the same imaginary friends that the author did. It's very exciting, actually. And guess what? This isn't the only book in the series. There are many others, such as the book after this. This is book 1. The book 2 is called Anne of Avonlea. The name sounds like music. And also, there's a couple of others, Anne of Ingleside, Anne of the Island, and a few others. There's about 8 to 10 books in the series. I would recommend this to people who like non-fiction books, are very descriptive, and this is for 9 or over. If you like today's book review, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.